Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to week 3 of the BFBS Armed Forces Virtual Racing Challenge. I cannot believe we're already on season 3, and here we are down in Englandshire yet again for Donington Park Racing Circuit. It's Dave Christie here with you once again, but this time our good old John is AWOL. He is missing in action because he has got something better to do tonight. He is covering real life sports, and I have got super sub himself, Mr. Alex Goldschmidt, called up to action, joining me here in the commentary booth. And Alex, I tell you what, you are brought in for one of the most exciting rounds here, Donington Park, an amazing circuit, and these cars are just wild fun.
Yeah, the GR86 Cup cars, absolutely brilliant on iRacing, provide a lot of bang for your buck. And here at Donington Park Grand Prix circuit, you know, the full layout, these drivers are going to be put through the ringer tonight, I'll tell you that much.
Welcome aboard, buddy. This is going to be awesome because obviously we've worked together on loads of different championships, but bringing you into this one is going to be something special indeed. You can see there we are on round 3 of 10 here. Snetterton, Knockhill, a random chosen circuit that we'll be talking about later on. Brands Hatch, Oulton, Silverstone National, and Donington National as well. Of course, these GR86 cars are an absolute handful. It's a very fast circuit here at the GP circuit at Donington, and it's going to be all to play for tonight. Let's have a quick look at the standings then, and Ryan Martin has been absolutely on it for rounds 1 and 2 in both of the early rounds there. Paul Hayhoe in second place, just 10 points behind Chris Pawley, also making a great showing. Anything goes between the top 5 right now. Stu McFadden also making big headway into it as well, down there in 8th position. Stu Eatock and Darren Berris, but again, it's still very early in the championship here, Alex. Lots to play for. You can see there the team standing. Royal Air Force, it's a bit difficult talking about this one because they absolutely dominate the standings. They've got like 10 cars in the top 15 places every single round. So I think it's safe to say they're going to be running away with this. But again, very early in the season, this is one where drivers are really want to put their foot down and make their mark.
Definitely, but they've also, you and I both know that consistency wins a championship, and that is going to be very crucial, not just for the drivers, but also for the respective, you know, members of our forces. You know, the Air Force leading the way by a country mile. That's over 400. You know, that's the best part of nearly 420 points. But you know, anything's possible in sim racing, and you and I both know it.
Absolutely, that is totally the case. One man that I do want to watch out for this weekend, who has had an absolutely horrible season so far, is Craig Dunn in the number 84. Currently in pit lane, he is our 2022 season champion, and it has been a season to forget for Craig. This is going to be his comeback moment, if ever there was one. But as we said, 10 minutes left to go then in this 20-minute qualifying session. Ryan Martin at the top with a 144. But Alex, again, just giving you an idea of how close this is. You've got so many drivers there within, 1 second of the leader. What's that, about 8 drivers within a second, and then you've got another 16 within 2 seconds.
Well, that's true, because the old adage goes that, you know, times are for show, points are to go, and the points are going to be very crucial, you know, in this double race format that we have here tonight at Donington Park, as we see Luke Arpino go into the iconic Melbourne hairpin. Someone's had a bit of a moment as well. On the exit of said corner, that was Mr. Eatock in the number 45 car. So, you know, qualifying is just an indicator of the pace that we'll see from the drivers. You know, they'll have put in the hours behind the wheel. There's been a lot of motivation, a lot of dedication as well by these drivers to represent their respective branch of Her Majesty's forces. And you know, having army connections myself, I mean, my brother-in-law is ex-paramilitary, ex-2 para in Colchester, and it's always great when I always talk to him about it. And plus, there's also through my grandfather on my mother's side. You know, he was part of the army over in Kenya as well back in the 30s. So it's great to see our forces actually competing in their own respective challenge championship.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And well, with regards to links to the armed forces, I'm gonna privately share with you, Alex, my link to the armed forces, which was when I was a little nipper. I was in the Air Force Cadets. I wanted to be in the RAF so badly when I was little, and then unfortunately I became an adult and then lost that dream. It just never actually happened. But I'll let you head over to your Discord and have a little giggle at that photo.
Yeah, actually, you look pretty dapper in that picture.
No, I scrub up well in some RAF cadet uniform. But yeah, it's a fantastic achievement for any youngster to be able to dream to be in the armed forces, and that's exactly what we see here. I mean, Stu McFadden is somebody that I've talked about at great lengths, personal friend of mine, and somebody that I've known since he was about sort of 14, 15 when he was on iRacing, and he's now in the RAF unbeknownst to me, and it's just fantastic to see how, you know, it kind of just grows up with people as well. And there's such an intrinsic interest and an intrinsic intra-team, intra-forces fighting spirit. It's amazing to see, no matter if it's real-life boxing or football or rugby or esports, you know, they take this very, very seriously. They take their badge very, very seriously indeed.
They do, and, you know, it's always about preparation. You know, you fail to prepare for something, you prepare to fail. And they'll have, like I said earlier on, they'll have put in the wheel time. They'll have made sure that they've got the grip around the car and also the circuit combination. And also with the fact that there being a random circuit being drawn at will, that's going to make it even more interesting later on in the season.
Absolutely. It's just noticing there, Stu McFadden taking pole position 0.3 of a second ahead of Ryan Martin just now. Will Fox in third place just now. Of course, it's a challenging but very, very rewarding circuit, one that I've driven myself in the old the little City Car Cup. Slightly down on power compared to these little GR86 Cup cars, but fun nevertheless. It is just such a you know, it's a roller coaster of a circuit. Whether it's you're coming down through that curve through Hollywood, down through the Craner curves.
Sorry to cut across you there, David, but I think someone was trying to use the Travis Pastrana style Joker lap coming out of Hollywood.
That's straight down through Crainers. It's got to be done. You know, it's such a wild moment because, of course, if you put wheels onto the grass on there, you're going to be in for a crazy time. If you even think about looking at that brake pedal, then you're very likely to be facing sideways. We go on board though. That was Lyndon Noble that we were watching there. And the number 26, and that is exit stage left. That was a beautiful demonstration. We absolutely planned that there with Linda. She was going to show us what happens if you take a little bit too much out of Old Hairpin. Thank you very much for that, Linda.
That's going to be probably one of the biggest points on the circuit where the touch paper would be very much lit, and especially when you've got 3 wide going to that same part of the circuit, you're always going to find that someone is either going to exit stage right or exit stage left, and normally it's the one on the outside that gets the brunt of the incident.
And that's exactly right, Alex. It's something that we've seen so far through the 4 races that we've had this season here on the BFBS Afvrc. A huge thank you as always to our commercial partners, British Forces Broadcasting Services, to Splunk, who have provided us some incredible data analytics, and to Race Car Radios as well for their support through the championship. We're still watching James King at the moment coming through towards the back end of the circuit. That's just at the exit of Coppice down Starkey Straight. And Alex, I don't know about yourself, but the Fogarty S's are always one that they look spectacular, they look great fun, but are an absolute nightmare to try and get right.
Yeah, you can nigh on straight line them, but you are on the absolute limit of having a track cut. You know, when we have like X incident points on iRacing, the more incident points you gather, the more you're going to be under strife from the system software from pinging you and giving you a slowdown penalty. And that could be also another point where, you know, you're going to see people go side by side alongside each other down Starkey Straight into the Fogarty S's. And I have seen it both in sim racing and also in real life where 2 cars into the S's don't go into one.
Well, I'm just thinking they do go into one, but they literally go into one car. They just sort of merge together,
It's like
and they use
it's like
one car into the
conglomerating,
barrier.
isn't it?
Yeah, it's Mummy, Daddy, how are baby GR86 cars made? Well, let me show you.
Yeah. Let me show you on
4.5
iRacing. It's quite straightforward.
4.5 minutes left to go on qualifying here. Stu McFadden back into the pits. Ryan Martin now brings that gap to just 1/10 of a second. Well, folks, still in that third position. Matty Chambers in fourth. Chris Boland in fifth position. Tom Stevens in sixth. You've seen just coming out of the Melbourne hairpin just now. Ollie Waynes in seventh position. Chris Pawley in eighth. Craig Dunn in ninth. Adam Barron in 10th position. And again, that looks like just about a second separating that top 10, just over a second, 1.2 seconds just now. And again, it does look like Stu has done everything that he needs to right now, but Ryan Martin and Will Fox are getting very, very close, knocking on that door.
Especially with the top 20, I mean, you look at all the gaps, there's no gap between any two drivers that extends close to or above 0.3 of a second. I mean, we're seeing drivers being separated like Durnell and Berris, 11th and 12th, 2/100ths. Then it's a further 17 thousandths back to Waterhouse in 13th position. So this is going to be a very, very ultra competitive qualifying session with just under 3.5 minutes to go. So anyone, if they make like at least half a tenth or a tenth, like say for example, Mr. Arpino was on two wheels. That was a bit of ski mode going through Redgate. You know, if Arpino makes up, let's say, 0.2 of a second, he could be in the top 10 quite easily.
And that's just how much things are on our knife edge here, as Stu McFadden back out of the pits there. But these GR86 cars are an absolute handful to control here, as Luke Arpino is showing you. The rear balance of the car means that rear end just slides out at the absolute easiest moment, the worst moment you could possibly want, and it's so easy to control. Very, very easy to get a handle on it in terms of that back end going out. It will completely nuke your lap time. You don't have any chance of having a fast lap while you're doing it, but my God, Alex, does it make you feel like a superstar while you're doing it?
I mean, one of the good things about the GR86 Cup car is they're very heavily based on the production model, and especially with the fact that the GR86 Cup now is going to be over in the United States as part of the GTWC Americas, powered by AWS this year. It's great that the drivers are in a one-make series. It makes it easier for everybody to be as competitive in the same vehicle. So it's all about the prominence of the driver's skill more than anything.
The one thing that this car does remind me of, the Toyota GR86 there, Alex, is the fact that it reminds me of the old school Toyota Celica, and I live for the day someone will make an old Sega Rally style livery for that car. It's not exactly, obviously the rear end is completely off, but it does just evoke those memories for me.
It does, and then also you've got the iconic Mazda MX-5s, which also has a one-make spec series as well, the Itamitsu Mazda MX-5 Global Cup. So it's wonderful for them to sort of get this opportunity to race in the same car at the same circuit. Everyone's got the same opportunity, but still, it's still looking that. That was a bit of a tank slapper through for T1, wasn't it? It was the back end was tail wagging all over the shop. It was like the Blues Brothers and Shake Your Tail Feather all over again.
Yeah, Respo's absolutely getting to grips with this GR86 Cup car. And it seems to be a rolling theme with these Cup cars, is that they are fun, they are powerful, and like you said, you've got the MX-5 Cup car, you've got the Porsche 911 Cup car, you've got this. They seem to be fast, they seem to be loose, and they seem to be very, very leery, and that makes them great fun to drive, great enjoyment. However, racing them is wild stuff. Qualifying is just coming to an end. And Stu McFadden 144.338. It's going to be Ryan Martin on his final lap. He's coming out of Melbourne hairpin just now. It is a personal best for him, but it does look like he is not going to improve. We'll wait till see how he comes out of the final corner here, but I think it could be Stu McFadden on pole position. It is a 144.329, and as if by magic, right at the last gasp, Stu McFadden knocked off the top step by 9 1/1000ths of a second, Alex, and he will be absolutely gutted.
Yeah, it's always about those occasions where you get somebody like Ryan Martin that decides to upset the apple cart, and by the most minute of fractions of a second, 9 1/1000ths. That is literally probably the length of the front splitter on this GR86 Cup car that he's beaten McFadden to pole position for the opening race. But what a lap, though. I mean, fully committed, full self-belief, knew he had it in the car and in himself, and got the job done.
All I'm going to say, Alex, is that's 2 Scottish boys in the front row. Let's go. I'm just going to get that in there right now. Ryan Martin and Stu McFadden.
Absolutely fine, mate. Absolutely fine. I've got no issue.
It's typical Scottish fashion. We'll lose one of them likely very, very early on. But either way, they're going to be absolutely delighted. Ryan Martin taking pole position in from Stu McFadden. Both of them on the front of that grid. Final cars coming in now. Will Fox is in third place. Matty Chambers is going to be in fourth position. And Chris Boland is going to line up your top 5. We'll go through the full stand-ins in just a second when they come up. But Alex, qualifying is one part of the puzzle, and I've got to be honest, it's been ages, absolutely ages, since I've heard you say that sentence about times are for show, points are to go, and it's absolutely true. You can be as fast as you like in qualifying. It means diddly squat when it comes to the race and your ability to actually pull that into a result. That is quite an impressive rear end of that car there. I'm not sure that's going to cut out. Other buffing compounds are available, but yeah, there you go. Qualifying done and dusted, and we're away head to the grid. So let's get our lineup for the start of this first race of the evening. Ryan Martin on pole position with Stu McFadden in second place. It's Will Fox and Matty Chambers for the Royal Navy on P3 and 4. Row 3 is going to be Chris Boland and Tom Stevens. Row 4 is going to be Ollie Wayne in 7th and Chris Pawley in 8th. Row 5 is going to be Craig Dunn and Adam Barron in 9th and 10th. Keep an eye on Craig Dunn for a comeback on this season. Chris Darnell in 11th and Dan Berris rounding out row 6. Row 7 is going to be Liam Waterhouse and Adam Waters with James King and Stu Etick on row 8. 17th place is going to be Luke Arpino with Michael Clough in P18. Row 10 is going to be Rhys Bowes of the Royal Air Force, along with John Finch of the RAF, with Ben Weston and Jez Banks in P21 and P22 respectively. Colin Scott starts out row 12 with Lyndon Noble of the British Army, and then we've got Jack Ajewski of the RAF alongside the RAF's Ryan Abbott in row 13. Row 14 is going to be Barry Abbott alongside Steve Ward, Dan Hardwick in 29th and Glenn Griffin in P30. Let's get going. The pace lap is about to get underway. Alex, what do we think with them starting off at the chicane? We're going to have a short pace lap here, but what must be going through the minds of these drivers right now? Do we want to just survive race 1, or do we want to absolutely go for it?
It's dependent on where they are in the standings, first of all, but then you've also got to think of what the driver's going through in terms of their mind. Doesn't matter whether it's in real life or in sim racing, it's about the focus and the concentration that you've got to have. You've got to make sure that you nail the start 100% perfectly and get the jump on the opposition. We have seen it before when you have a shorter formation lap going into a start finish, going onto the start finish line. That's when we might see something happen quite clearly, because there's always some kind of drama or carambolage going into the opening few corners as they're lighting up the rear tyres from just outside of the Fogarty S's on Starkey Straight. But yeah, I'm kind of excited to see how this all pans out, David.
Caramelage, I like that. I'm absolutely stealing that for every broadcast here on out. That is going to be getting mentioned quite profusely. But either way, it's time to go racing. We are ready to go for the first race of the evening. Ryan Martin and Stu McFadden are going to be side by side coming out of the Melbourne hairpin into Goddard's for the first time to get everything started. The cars go 2 by 2 by 2 by 2. And we are just seconds away from the first race of 2 this evening. David Christie and Alex Goldschmidt bringing you all of the action tonight. Take a deep breath. Remember, we've got to hit that restart zone before we get going. It looks like Ryan Martin absolutely jumps it. Will Fox there up into P2 already. Stu McFadden tries to send it down into Redgate into turn 1. Then Ryan Martin might have something to answer for that start there. We'll have to have a little look as the cars come through Hollywood for the first time. Down through the Craner curves, Alex. And now they're going to have the fantastic test of Old Hairpin.
Yeah, if you're going too wide into Old Hairpin, into Old Hairpin, you've really got to watch it. One car gets a bit onto the curbs a bit too much, runs a little bit wide up the hill through Schwantz Curve and into Starkey's Bridge, and someone, oh no! Yeah, I'm not even going to say what I saw just then because
you hate to see it. That was Darnell and Waterhouse getting caught up in that, Alex, and unfortunately that was one incident that directly led to another incident there. Oh, that is absolute heartbreak on this first lap.
Yeah, and there's more dramas a little bit further behind because I think you got Steve Ward looking up the inside of Linda Noble. And getting very close indeed, and that's the battle for 18th on the field. There's another incident we've just seen as well, which I think might have been possibly the number 25. I'm not 100% sure, but there was one particular car going sideways. But battle for second quite clearly on. McFadden getting ahead of folks going through the Melbourne hairpin, and now is trying to chase after pole sitter Ryan Martin.
Yeah, he's been unleashed from that position just behind Will Fox. Fox now up firmly under the hunt of Chris Boland, who is in 4th position as well. Matty Chambers in 5th. Ollie Waynes down in 6th position. Tom Stevens in 7th. Craig Dunn is in 9th. Adam Barron jumps ahead to take 8th position. And then you've got Chris Pawley in 10th position. But as we said, Stu McFadden unleashed now. But he is taking Will Fox, and that is a 9/10 of a second gap up to Ryan Martin. So it's going to be very difficult to try and close that gap down. But I've got no doubt that they will try and fight this one out in this 15-minute race here. Again, a rather smoother second lap, or at least start to the second lap here. And again, Alex, this is now the point where the drivers try and shake off those first lap nerves and just settle down into a rhythm, isn't it?
Well, when you see that the top 7, the 6 of the top 7, not including Ryan Martin, who's leading by over a second over Stuart McFadden, this is where you're going to get that sort of ebb and flow of the race itself, where there's that pendulum swing as, looks like Luke Arpino's front bumper is somewhat adrift. That'll buff out, sir.
It's fine. It's absolutely fine. Just one previous owner. Okay, that's maybe a little
low
bit worse
mileage
than I thought it was. Yeah, that's not quite. I don't think that's going to do the aero any wonders whatsoever. Thankfully, Luke's still circulating. He'll still be trying to keep that as we jump back to P2 then. And this is Will Fox and Stu McFadden fighting it out there. Will Fox just having to duck in behind Stu McFadden. This is now meaning that they're having to go back, and Lindsay Noble, who was in a brilliant fight, I believe that was for about P15, all the way into the barrier there, and that is going to drop Linda all the way back to the back of the field there. So again, it's just sort of ebbing and flowing. There's action going on through the midfield. The front fight isn't quite happening. Ryan Martin actually able to stretch away a little bit, but Stu actually being held to account here by Will Fox, as is Chris Boland, and you can see almost side by side just behind there. Matty Chambers trying to take fourth position there. They're going to be side by side into the old hairpin as Boland takes that position back, says nope, not today, sunshine. But Matty Chambers is going to have the speed as they come up to that right-hander, and this is a thrilling fight as they go up to McLean's.
Yeah, but then you've got the deceptive double right. It looks like a right-hander through Coppice, but you've got one apex, which you normally won't. You'll swing wide going into it to get the run through into Starkey Straight, and hopefully that'll be the case. Well, Matty Chambers is lining up Chris Boland from the Royal Air Force very, very nicely here, and might get the drag. He's right up the exhaust pipes at the moment. Looks to the right now, looks to the left. In towards the Fogarty S's, thinks discretion is the better part of valour, goes through the chicane. Very neat on both apexes there from Chambers, I must admit, in the number 44.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a cracking little fight here, and these GR86s, Alex, really lend themselves to some top-notch fighting throughout the field here. You can see picture in picture, thanks to Mike Yao for being our broadcast director as always here, as Stu McFadden in that inset there. You can see fighting off Will Fox for the battle for second place. However, that gap to Ryan Martin is starting to come down. That's now 9/10 of a second. That's 3/10 of a second they've taken off on that previous lap there. You can see fastest lap actually going to Will Fox in third position there. So this is starting to get very, very interesting indeed, because Stu having to fight off Will, but also trying to hunt down Ryan and keep him within tow. But you can see back to that fight for 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th position down there. Amazing stuff here as you see on board with Stu McFadden through the old hairpin. And this seems to be where he's starting to make a little bit of an indent, not so much on this lap here, but this is where he's starting to take time out of Ryan Martin, Alex.
Yeah, over the course of the race, you know, initially when you start that formation, you're going to have cold tyres to an extent, cold brakes. You know, not everything's warmed up, but when the track comes to the drivers, as Will Fox is still closing in on Stuart McFadden, as Matty Chambers is now up into is trying to close, is basically about 3.7 seconds behind, as someone definitely went off just a second ago. I didn't really pick out which number that was.
Yeah, that was Chris Boland that went off. He went straight on, and he's dropping down the order like a stone there, Alex. Currently P10. I think he avoided the barrier there, but he just went a little bit wide on the exit of McLean's there. On the entry to Coppice, the two wheels on the left-hand side were onto the grass. That sent him on, but he is pushing hard and trying to get his way back here. I think he's coming grief again, because he's fighting now with Chris Pawley, as you see picture Stu McFadden still fighting out with Will Fox here, but that gap now 0.8 of a second. Here's the other talking point, Alex, on these GR86s. With that rear end being so slidey and being so tail happy, tyres overheat and they burn up like bubblegum with these things.
Especially if you're in dirty air. I mean, we all know that with, like, say, heavily aerodependent single-seaters and prototype cars, there is still an aerodynamic factor that you've got to really consider when it comes to these cars. I mean, especially if you're right behind somebody else, and that is what we're seeing with Will Fox still behind Stuart McFadden, as there is someone very, very slow on the track. But look at the gap, though. McFadden has been pulling along Fox, and look at the gap between them and Ryan Martin, as Fox nearly ends up in the back bumper of McFadden going through into McLean's. That gap now, it was 1.3 seconds, it's now just over 3/4 of a second.
Yeah, this is getting very interesting. Anyone for a three-way fight for the leads? Oh, and that looked very, very wide. That was just a camera angle there for Will Fox, thankfully, but he did slide that car coming out of Coppice there. I wonder if he is starting to really push those tyres to their limits here. But again, just holding on to the back of Stu McFadden here. Fantastic little fight that we've got going on. That fight for 4th, 5th and 6th is still going on, but that's stretched out a little bit as well. Matty Chambers in 4th, Ollie Winged in 5th, and Tom Stevens in 6th position, as Chris Pawley and Chris Boland are still duking it out here. Adam Barron into the mix now. It's a three-way fight for 8th, 9th and 10th position here. So literally, I mean, our broadcast producer here, Alex, of Mike Yao, having a very difficult job tonight, trying to figure out where on earth to look, because there's just action everywhere.
Yeah, there's also been a change for there's musical chairs between ninth and 10th position at the moment. Adam Barron in the number 5 for the Royal Air Force is battling away with Chris Boland. This is what happened to Luke Arpino early doors, and that's why his front bumper was dislodged. Because that was the number 45 of Stu Eatock from the Royal Air Force, who was actually pointing the other way on the approach into Hollywood, and that's not a place where you want to get stuck.
The word I'm looking for, Alex, is messy. Messy, I think, was the start to that. And look at this now. It's definitely a 3-car fight for the lead then. You've got Will Fox onto the back of Stu McFadden, who's onto the back of Ryan Martin then. It is all go with the final 5 minutes of this first race of the evening here for the BFBS Afvrc Season 3, Round 3 here from Donington Park GP. And my goodness, what an exciting finish we've got set up, lined up nicely. We could not have scripted this any better for this race here.
No, definitely not. I mean, when you think about it, the top 3 covered by, what is that? That's probably about 0.7 of a second. You know, one wrong move from Ryan Martin could really open the doors quite significantly. We're now going to replay. This is with Dan Hardwick in the number 31 Royal Air Force car. Oh, going through Goddard's, spins it, lights up, kept out of the way. Good car control, and as we could see, Will Fox up the inside of McFadden going through into Goddard's. That's for P2. They're going to be side by side on the run down to Redgate. McFadden's going to have the benefit of doubt here, David, because he's got the inside line as he gives a near-on hip check to Will Fox, who dives towards the inside, looks to get through, and he does. That's a change for P2. Nice move there.
Oh, but Stu McFadden has the overlap as they come through Hollywood then, and the more these two fight, you'd think they'd drop off, but that's not going to happen. Stu McFadden tries to sneak up the inside. He gets that position back. McFadden back up into second place. They come down into Old Hairpin. 4 minutes left to go in this race. Ryan Martin in the lead ahead of Stu McFadden, but again, they're just half a second behind and catching up leaps and bounds on that car up in first position. And again, apologies to our viewers out there. We were saying that Will Fox is Royal Navy. Of course, he's actually Royal Air Force, so we'll get that changed as soon as we can. But third place then, and it's 2 RAF cars against Ryan Martin up there in the leads. So again, it just makes you think that, you know, with the 3 cars that we've got here, this is just absolutely not 3 RAF cars. And they're absolutely flying the flag right now. But Ryan Martin, that was very close to track limits at the chicane here. And with what, maybe 2-3 laps left to go here, Alex, I get the feeling that this is going to come ahead very quickly indeed.
There's no rear gunners in this battle, guaranteed, folks, as now McFadden gets a really good run coming out of Melbourne on the run down towards Goddard's. And it is a case of who's going to blink first, who's going to make the move. Is Martin going to sternly defend? Is McFadden going to send it up the inside? What has Fox got in his party box when it comes to trickery? You know, we saw that on the previous lap. And still, with them, all 3 of them being covered by half a second, Fox sets a personal best and looks up the inside. McFadden went a little bit wide going through into Redgate, but again he gets the undercut through Hollywood. And they nearly have a little bit of paint swapping, left front to right rear, down through Hollywood, now into the Craners. Now, this is where you've got to be committed, but you've also got to be very steady on the brakes, because on these cars, with the back ends being as tetchy as they are, David, if you lock a brake, that's the back end round, and you could be hard into the barriers.
Yeah, and 9 times out of 10, you usually are hard into the barriers, but no such issues for these drivers here tonight. 2 minutes left to go. That's very wide from Ryan Martin. Thankfully, keeps it on the black stuff, gets it gathered rather than back on the black stuff, and that is going to now mean that Will Fox has the run here through Coppice. You've got a kick of dust here from a car that's gone wide, but here comes Stu McFadden again. You've got a car off to the inside here. Just 2 minutes left to go in this race. McFadden ducks to the inside, thinks better of it, late on the brakes for Fox into the chicane, and this is an incredible incredible finish to this race. Down on the brakes into the Melbourne hairpin yet again. It's still Matty Chambers, Ollie Wayne, Tom Stevens, Craig Dunn, Chris Pawley, Adam Barron and Chris Boland, as that was almost a little bit of contact there from Will Fox onto the back of Ryan Martin. We're going to have one more lap left to go after this, I think. We'll have to double check and see how that goes. In fact, this is going to be the white flag, I believe, coming this time by. We've got 1 minute left to go here. Yep, there we go. Final lap then. It's now or never for all of these drivers. As Boland drops out of the top 10, he's down to 14th. Folks moves to the outside at Redgate. McFarren tries to have a look there. Round the outside at Redgate, that's never going to work, but you're going to want to try and keep that pace in. This is so scary here. They're coming through Hollywood for the final time, almost side by side. McFadden doesn't know where to put the car. He's right behind Will Fox, he's right behind Ryan Martin. And that was McFadden having a look on the inside. Big power slide there from Ryan Martin. Alex and I have got absolutely no idea how this is going to end, because McFadden tried to squeeze through on the inside.
He's trying to get two for the price of one because they're going up the hill. He's going to go for the lead. This is going to go into McLean's. It could nearly be three wide. Martin back in the lead. McFadden around the outside of Fox. He's nearly onto the grass. He is on the grass. He's powering alongside the race leader into Coppice. And McFadden briefly takes the lead.
Oh my God!
And a back marker. And Martin's round. Fox into the side of him. McFadden's gotten through and gotten away like a scalded cat on a hot tin roof.
Good Lord, that is one of the most unusual incidents I've ever seen in sim racing. Stu McFadden making hay while the sun shines. He was going for the overtaking manoeuvre around the outside anyway. You had a poor back marker that was around the outside. Matty Chambers, though, out of absolutely nowhere, is into second place, though. There's Will Fox. We've got Stu McFadden going to be coming round the final couple of corners. Now, out of Melbourne hairpin, it's going to be Stu McFadden to take the win. Matty Chambers in second place. Will Fox in third. Ryan Martin is going to come across the line in third position. Here comes Stu McFadden then to win. Oh my Lord, I did not have that on my bingo card for tonight's race. Matty Chambers, though, with a stunning second place out of absolutely nothing. I think he's going to be thinking, what on earth just happened there? Will Fox in third position. Ryan Martin in fourth. Ollie Waynes in fifth position. Craig Dunn in sixth. Tom Stevens in seventh. Craig Pawley in eighth. Adam Barron in ninth. And Waters in 10th. But Alex, that back marker that was on the inside, we don't know what had happened. That could have been a car recovering just off the racing line, trying to mind their own business, and unfortunately just got caught up in all of that.
Yeah, it's just one of those things that even over a 15-minute sprint race, you are going to have drivers that are not going to be on the same pace as others, might have had their own respective dramas, and that really sort of put the proverbial cat amongst the pigeons when we saw McFadden, Fox and Martin. And Martin, up until that point, had put not a foot wrong at all, but one slight mistake through the old hairpin. McFadden was like round the out, trying to force the issue, going through into Coppice, got through, then all hell broke loose.
It absolutely did. Let's get a replay then of what happened. I'll be honest, I think McFadden had a fair shot of going for that overtake. If we ignore that back marker car, I think he had a fair shot of going for the overtake anyway, and just it was so unfortunate that our leader got caught up in that, and Ryan Martin doesn't even finish on the podium now. Will Fox, obviously, very fortunate to make that happen there, and then it all just bedlam kicks off, at which point Will Fox trying to keep the foot in and trying to get whatever he can out of this race there. And Ryan Martin must be feeling sick as a dog after what unfolded there.
Yeah, I think in some respects from Ryan, it was a shame because McFadden would have made that overtake, I think, irrespective of the back marker. As I said, going through into Coppice, it is so deceptive. You're going around that outside line. He was still within track limits. He still had two wheels on the black stuff. So that was a legal move, very much. But yeah, you have to feel for Ryan Martin because he'd done all that hard work, and then it was one moment that it cost him the victory and drops him off of the podium.
Yeah, certainly is. Heartbreak aside, then there is your provisional race results then for race 1 of round 3 here at Donington GP at the BFBS Armed Forces Virtual Race Challenge. Stu McFadden taking the win from Matty Chambers, an unlikely podium place for Matty tonight. Will Fox in 3rd position. Ryan Martin so cruelly denied that podium after that last lap incident. Ollie Waynes in 5th. Craig Dunn in 6th position. Tom Stevens in 7th. Chris Pauly in 8th. Adam Barron in 9th. Adam Waters in 10th position. James King in 11th. John Finch in 12th. Jack Ajewski in 13th. Ben Weston in 14th. Rhys Bowes in 15th position. 16th position for Steve Ward. Jez Banks in 17th. Michael Cloughy down in P18. P19 for Darren Berris. Lindsay Noble finishing 20th after that earlier accident. Colin Scott in 21st position. Ryan Abbott in 22nd. Luke Arpino with that mangled front end finishes in 23rd. Barry Abbott in 24th. Stu Etick in 25th. Dan Hardwick in 26th. Chris Boland finishes 27th position, a 1 lap down, and Liam Waterhouse finishing 1 lap down as well after some penultimate lap shenanigans. What we've got to wait on next then is our reverse grid wheel for the second race. That will decide who is going to be on pole position. We've got a partially reversed grid. Let's have a look at what we are going to get. It's a top 8 reverse grid, Alex, which means that Chris Pauly is going to be on pole position for race 2.
Well, that's going to be definitely an interesting one, because at least the drivers now know that they don't have to worry about another qualifying session. You know, they've got that all out of the way, and now it's a case of just knuckling down and getting on board with another race.
Yep, certainly is. So the dust settling from race 1. We're going to take a very short break, but keep it tuned, and we will bring you live coverage very shortly of race 2 tonight. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the BFBS Afvrc Season 3, Week 3, Race Number 2. David Christie and Alex Goldschmidt here with you with all of the action. Let's get straight into the grid then for race number 2. Chris Pauly is in pole position ahead of Tom Stevens, with Craig Dunn in third position ahead of Ollie Waines, Ryan Martin and Will Fox in row 3. Row 4 is going to be Matty Chambers and your race 1 winner Stu McFadden, James King in 9th, John Finch in 10th, Jack Ajewski and Ben Weston on row 6. Let's speed up because we can hear the cars revving away. Row number 7 is going to be Rhys Bose with Steve Ward. Row 8 is going to be Jez Banks and Michael Clough. Row 9, Dan Berris and Lyndon Noble. Row 10 is going to be Colin Scott and Ryan Abbott. Luke Arpino is going to be on row 11 with Barry Abbott. Stu Etic on row 12 with Dan Hardwick, 23rd and 24th. 25th is going to be Chris Bolins after that disastrous end to race number 1. Liam Waterhouse is going to start on P26. Glenn Griffin is going to be in P27. Chris Darnell in P28. Adam Waters in P29. And Adam Barron in P30. And look at that, as if by magic, Alex, we are ready to go. And do you know what? Since you're our guest this week, I'm going to let you take us through the start of race number 2.
Well, it's Paulie and Stevens on the front row. A very, very short formation lap here at Donington Park, just around about 2.5 miles in length. We've already had a very exciting opening race of the evening. What will race 2 have in store for our troops tonight, representing the Air Force, the Navy and the Army? And to be completely honest with you, I really am unable to pick a winner, but despite the fact that we had that fantastic 3-way scrap for the lead that went right up until the last lap, the Porsche safety car now peels into pit lane. We await the red lights to go onto the starting gantry. There they are, and the drivers now go up to full throttle. Paulie gets a very, very good start. Stevens and Durant heading into Redgate for the opening tour. They're nearly side by side. Fulks and Wayne going through into Redgate as well. A little bit of a battle side by side, heading into Hollywood for around about 6th and 7th position. But at the moment, Paulie has got a little bit of a gap at the moment. His lead over Stevens is about 6.5 tenths of a second as the field starts making their way down through the Craner curves.
Yep, through the Craner curves, through Old Hairpin for the first time. Nice little gap, as you said there, for Paulie ahead of Stevens, 7 tenths of a second. And thankfully, it looks like everyone making it down at least to Old Hairpin. So we'll scratch that one off the books. Stu McFadden and Ryan Martin, they are just behind each other in 6th and 7th position. They are just coming up through into McLean's just now. Stu McFadden having a look on Ollie Waine, trying to get that position. Fires it up the inside, and Stu McFadden's going to move up into P5. And Ryan Martin then still trying to make his way back up as well. He makes his move on the inside of Ollie Waine. So again, 5th and 6th position then for your race 1 leaders going up to that penultimate lap here. But it's all to play for with 15 minutes on the clock. And we're going to come to the end of lap 1 as the cars come down to the Melbourne hairpin, Alex.
McFadden's already made his way up to 5th position as Fulks and Durant battling into the Melbourne hairpin. Looks like Fulks has got the run on the inside of the corner. That could open the door over for McFadden, who has a little bit of a touch, a little bit of a nibble on the right rear of Durant going through the exit of Melbourne, but that was very, very close indeed. Martin is was starting in 5th position after what happened earlier. Now has dropped to 6th behind McFadden, who is pretty much on a charge at the moment. But look at the train coming through. We're going on to a replay now, heading into turn 1. This is going to be involving Steve Ward, who looks to be piggy in the middle, going through into red on the outside, and that was with the number 7 car that he came into contact with. So Steve Ward from the Royal Air Force, and someone else decides to go through the kitty let around the outside of Redgate. So Steve Ward, who started 14th, is a significant way down the order outside of the top 20, David.
Yeah, I think that was Cloughy and Stu Etic that were caught up in that opening battle there, but it's still all to play for right now. Ollie Waine's right on to the back there. Is Matty Chambers right now, but have a look at this. Tom Stevens having a fight off Will Fox and Craig Dunn right now. Durn has the overlap on the inside of Will Fox. Is it going to happen though into Coppice Corner? He sends it up the inside. That car's going to drift out wide, but that is going to be P2. And is that going to be Stu McFadden trying to sneak up on the inside as well? We've almost got 3 cars wide coming down this straight here, Starkey Straight. This is getting a little bit sketchy already on lap number 2 here. What is going to happen here? What's going to happen is Tom Stevens is going to fire it up through the inside of the chicane.
McFadden. Did you see McFadden? He was waiting, and he's got 2 for the price of 1. It's nearly 4 abreast coming down into Melbourne Hairpin. McFadden could get the jump on all of them. He's late on the brakes into the apex, and he gets through. That was great from McFadden. He's absolutely mugged everybody that was in front of him going down Starkeys and into the Fogarty S's before Melbourne. He just lined it up nice and perfectly, hit the braking spot on the sweep on a 6-point. Says, oh, that's Tom Stevens around going through into Goddard's.
Tom Stevens trying to put it up the inside there, gets a little tag on the back there, and that sends him round. I think he'll be able to recover from that quite quickly. But you're absolutely right, that was scandalous. That was disgusting from Stu McFadden. The lack of respect to just send it up the inside. That is, as I said the other day, that's like getting a nutmeg in football. That is embarrassing to be able to do that. But fair play. The other bit that I really liked is not only did he get that move done, but everybody held their line and had proper respect while they were fighting coming into the Melbourne Hairpin and out of the Melbourne Hairpin as well. Amazing racing from all 4 of those drivers, and that fight's still going on as McFadden coming under pressure further up the field. But we go back to Ryan Abbott's here. You've got Abbott's ahead of Boland and Waterhouse. Luke Arpino just behind there as well. So again, just like race 1, Alex, there are so many battles here, and it's a great chance to see some of the battles a little further down the order.
Waterhouse was actually outside of the top 20 coming through, and he's trying to do a Stu McFadden around the outside of Waterhouse, going through into outside of Abbott's. And again, it's a repeat of what we saw earlier on. That just goes to show how quickly things can change. As Abbott's looking up the inside, he's got through, and he's going to go around the outside of the Fogarty S's on the run down to Melbourne Hairpin. And he's made the move on Barron, and Alpino's having a better run in this race, not having the worries about a front bumper dislodge, which would have in real life given him a mechanical black flag. But still, there's a little bit of pushing, a little bit of shoving, a little bit of bumper touching as well. They're still all giving each other pretty much nigh on racing room, as it's 3 wide going into Goddard's.
This is the battle for 17th position then as they come out of the final corner there, Alex. An amazing run as we're almost 3 wide into Redgate yet again. Back up at the front then, Will Fox takes the lead, fighting side by side with Chris Pawley. Pawley takes the lead back, Stu McFadden in this fight as well. It's a 4-car duke out for the lead right now. We're still watching this fight for 19th. There's still a scrap on for 6th. There's a scrap on for 11th. But it looks like Will Fox has taken the lead then. Chris Pawley down in 2nd place. Have a look at Stu McFadden though, Alex. He is poised, waiting to go again. Is this going to be a carbon copy as they go into that chicane here?
Oh, that was a bit nip and tuck between Pawley and Fox going through into Coppice, and McFadden's just lining things up. He's just waiting for the opportunity to show some complete disrespect going into the Fogarty S's. He's still going to keep it around the outside to get the inside run through down towards Melbourne Hairpin, but Fox has already started to get away a little bit.
Coming through at the Melbourne Hairpin, Alex, and you can see that's going to push Pawley to the outside of the hairpin. That means Ryan Martin has a chance to try and get it round, but Fox with a terrible exit from the hairpin. That's going to hand things on a plate to Stu McFadden, who takes the inside line through Goddard's then. It's going to be a drag race down the start-finish straight here, but my money is on Stu McFadden. He puts the car in front and takes the lead of the race before we hit the halfway point in. So it's Stu McFadden, lean Will Fox, Chris Pawley in 3rd position. You've got Ryan Martin trying to duck in through Redgate then, and this is all going to end in tears. You get that feeling because Fox and Pawley are getting a little bit wide and keeps on to it there. Fox still in that 2nd position, Alex, and this is getting wild.
Fox got a little bit of a hip check from McFadden. as Fox was trying to go around the outside through into turns 1 and 2 at Redgate and Hollywood. As a little bit further back, Matty Chambers is really under the kibosh. He's got Durant, and Chambers got a bit of a tank slapper, and it sent Durant into Wayne, and they both clattered into the barriers. You can see the amount of scuffing on the right-hand side of Craig Durant's car there. They were both very, very lucky that it wasn't even worse, as both Paulie and Martin were both off the track coming out of McLean's, but they both teed up nicely for Coppice.
Certainly did, Alex, and this is just nuts. We've got half the race done. Stu McFadden in the lead ahead of Will Fox, who is not letting that car go whatsoever. Chris Pauly is still in third position. You've got Ryan Martin still trying to catch on to this as well. It is absolutely a 4-car race. Do not look anywhere else right now for any reaction. This is Chris Pauly having a look on the inside. Ryan Martin trying to hold on to that position. So he has got third position from Chris Pauly. Loses out of the chicane here. This is just getting beyond belief in terms of action. Adam Barron takes a position from Ben Weston. You've got Tom Stevens now moving up ahead of Juski. And honestly, with just half of the race left to go, in fact less than that, just 6 minutes left to go, I honestly have got no idea where to look right now. We've got several you've got several battles on the field here happening with about 4 or 5 cars in them.
The biggest thing here, David, is that McFadden is not getting away from Foulkes. I mean, it's ding ding, game on, seconds out, round 2 as they're just heading through the crane of curves. Foulkes is waiting for an opportunity as they're going to head into Old Hairpin. He's not going to dive up the inside on this particular occasion, as they'll go through turn 4 at Old Hairpin, then go through the left at turn 5 at Starkey's Bridge, up through Schwantz Curve, and then it's going to be hard on the brakes. You know, they're going to be at full throttle up the hill, hard on the brakes. The nose of the car is going to pitch downwards, turn it right, rotate the car, now up this slight incline through into Coppice, and you're going to see that then they're both going to be, well, Foulkes takes a tighter line through the first part of Coppice, whereas McFadden was a little bit further out just to carry a little bit more momentum through. But look at the rate that Foulkes is gaining on McFadden. Foulkes is going to try and tee something up. Don't try do something through the Fogarty S's. He thinks better of it. There's a car length between them. But if he can outbrake McFadden going into Melbourne Hairpin, he might get the undercut going through into Goddard's.
Ding, ding, ding. Have a look at Ryan Martin just in third place now, just 0.6 of a second off of this battle. You've got Chris Pauly still trying to get in there as well. And with 4.5 minutes left to go, it's going to be a last gasp. There goes up the inside. Will Fox then into Goddard, and that sets Stu McFadden off of his braking pace there, takes the position. There was no contact there, but Stu McFadden down in second place and into the clutches then. You've got to say, of Ryan Martin, we're having a look at this battle for P10 here, and you've got 5,000 other GR86s all involved in this battle here. You've got Tom Stevens, Ollie Wayne, Chris Boland, you've got Jack Kajewski, Adam Barron, Reese Bowes, all fighting it out here, and it is absolutely anyone's game. As meanwhile, picture in picture, you can see Stu McFadden already onto the back here of Will Fox, as Ryan Martin trying to join this party right now, and with about 3 laps left to go, this is still absolutely anybody's game here, Alex.
The thing is it's the top 3, they're in different positions to what we saw. So we saw McFadden in third, we saw Foulkes in second, and Martin was in first place around about this sort of point. And Martin had done all the hard work, but because of the fact that Foulkes and McFadden have been squabbling between themselves over the last couple of minutes, it's allowed Martin to close that gap significantly. And with just under 3.5 minutes to go, which is probably going to equate to a couple of laps, and now Martin is pulling alongside, and he's got through on McFadden. So I think Martin, after that incident through into Coppice on the final lap of the previous race, has definitely got the fire lit in the belly.
He does, but the way that car just slowed down, I think Stu McFadden might have had a slowdown there to have to hand that position over, as we see Tom Stevens and Banks fight it out side by side as they come down into the Melbourne hairpin. You've got Chris Boland and Ollie Wayne behind them, still duking it out as well. This is a thrilling end to race number 2 here. We've got 2.5 minutes left, almost 5 cars into that penultimate corner here. Wild stuff. And I'll guarantee every single one of these drivers leaves with the biggest grin on their faces tonight, but it's still Will Fox in the lead of this race, but into Goddard's then for the what could possibly be the third to last time, maybe second to last time. We'll find out as the cars come round next time by. This is just an amazing race here, Alex, and still, yet again, I just don't know what on earth is going to happen here.
Well, considering this is the battle for P8 as well, with Banks leading Boland, Stevens has just been passed by Barron in that particular exchange, going through into Redgate and then into Hollywood, down through the Craners. Tom Stevens trying to keep it very much pinned, but everyone's using so many different racing lines, it's obscene. As all, Stevens goes off. Oh, that's what you don't want to do, run wide coming out of the old hairpin, and that's dropped him down a further 3 positions, and he's clearly flashing the headlights, not happy.
Yeah, I don't know why he's flashing his headlights though. He's the one that went wide himself there. So we'll pick the bones out of that one later on. But meanwhile, this fight is just raging on. Boland's now ahead of Barron, Wayne to Jakijewski, Reese Bowes in there, Tom Stevens. Luke Arpino tries to fire it up the inside of Tom Stevens. Can't quite make it work because Tom Stevens is going to have the outer line. He's going to have the run as Stu McFadden sends it up the inside of Ryan Martin for P2. These two still fight out. This is what music to the ears of Will Fox right now, who is racing away with this. We've got 1 minute left to go, so this is surely going to be the white flag as Ryan Martin sends it back up the inside. Is Stu going to have the cut back here? 7/10 of a second, might not be over yet. You've got all hell breaking off in that battle for P10. Luke Arpino coming into contact there with Tom Stevens as that is running him out wide, or trying to anyway, on the entry to the corner. And this is all starting to get a little bit fighty for my liking. We've seen this quite often in the championship. Race 2, the tempers flare over a little bit here, Alex, and yeah, this is going to be a wild final lap.
It is, because with the fact of someone, Boland having Barron to the outside going through into Redgate, so Barron's trying to get the undercut and he's looking for a nose up the inside through into Hollywood. I think he's going to get it on the run down to Craner Curves, and Boland nearly gets through, does he? Well, he's behind Barron now because Barron got a nice run through the Craners. He might have got a little bit of an assist from behind, courtesy of Chris Boland, as they've got Ollie Wayne right on their 6, and then you've got Panks just up ahead of this trio that are battling way up through Starkey's Bridge and through into Schwantz Curve, and there's a little bit of touching the grass as Barron is trying to keep it pinned, and it's 3 wide going into Coppice. Luke Arpino has a tank slapper coming out of McLean's, and it was nearly 3 into 1, and someone's gone wide, and that's Barron.
Certainly is trying to rejoin, but down into the Melbourne hairpin for the final time then is your race leader as Will Fox, just ahead of Ryan Martin. This is not over, folks. This could be, as you've got more cars off. That's Ollie Wayne as well, but your leader's coming into the final corner of the final race of the evening. Sent it up to the inside. Ryan Martin can't get that car stopped in time. Will Fox is going to come out the final corner, and it's going to be a race win for Will Fox ahead of Ryan Martin. Stu McFadden is going to take P3. Chris Pauly in P4. Matty Chambers is going to finish in P5. But have a look at this. It's a battle right to the line there as John Finch will take P6 ahead of James King. It's then Banks in 8th position, Adam Barron in 9th. Luke Arpino is going to come across the line in P10. What a thrilling end to this race here, Alex. And yeah, I think they can all be very, very proud of themselves indeed.
These 2 races just showcase how competitive people can be. It doesn't matter what walk of life you come from, but a credit to every single one of the drivers from all of Her Majesty's forces for putting on one hell of a show tonight. It's been absolutely glorious. It
certainly has. We'll bring you the full results as the cars come over the line, but there you go. That is a brilliant win for Will Fox. We'll have driver interviews coming up very, very shortly. But yet again, another dominant performance and another dominant evening for the Royal Air Force. I guess they say, force by numbers, but absolutely showing what for tonight as the final couple of drivers coming across the line. We're just waiting, I believe, on Glenn Griffin, who is just coming down Starkeys just now. What a race, Alex, and again, for the most part, very, very clean and respectful racing all round.
I mean, the thing was, with regards to race one, we had a slobber knocker. This one was like close quarter combat between every single driver worth their salt. And you know what? A credit to everyone that has put all the hard work into this third season of the championship to really put on a show. And that's exactly what we got tonight. I mean, two different race winners from two different races. McFadden and Folks taking the respective race 1 and race 2 victories, but the quality and the caliber of racing, it's been very respectable. Door to door, paint swapping, it's what you want.
It absolutely is. Couldn't said it any better myself then. Confirmed provisional results then for race 2 of round 3 of the BFBS Armed Forces Virtual Racing Challenge. Will Fox taking the win from Ryan Martin in second place there, Stu McFadden in third position, Chris Polley in fourth, Matty Chambers in fifth, John Finch in sixth position, James King in seventh, Jez Banks in 8th, Adam Barn in 9th, Luke Arpino in 10th position, Tom Stevens in 11th, Rhys Bose in 12th, Chris Bolins in 13th, Adam Waters in 14th, Ben Weston in 15th, Chris Darnell in 16th, Liam Waterhouse in 17th, and Michael Clough in 18th position. In 19th position is going to be Colin Scott, Jack Ajewski in 20th position, 21st is going to be Ryan Abbott, Craig Dunn in 22nd position after that mid-race contact there, 23rd is Dan Beres, Barry Abbott in 24th, Dan Hardwick in 25th, Steve Ward in 26th, Ollie Waynes in 27th position, and then Stu Etic finishing out a lap down in 28th position. So there you go, that is the race done and dusted. And I guess it's time to have a chat with some of our drivers. So let's bring in then our race 1 winner and race 2 third place finisher, Stu McFadden, for a very quick chat. Stu, a very good evening. Right, okay, so firstly, take us back. That first race that you won, that last lap, you were absolutely fighting tooth and nail. How loudly were you shouting coming out of Coppice?
To be honest with you, not that loud. I was more shouting. I think coming up to Coppice, I was like, "Oh no!" I literally said it as I was driving, but I tried to leave as much space so Ryan could fit through. Because do you know what I mean? Like, we all want to beat each other, but at the end of the day, it's respectful in this series. So I'm not going to shove him into a stranded car. But yeah, it was just. That's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. Sometimes you get the luck, sometimes you don't. I think I've been the receiving end of a bit of bad luck the past couple of weeks. So yeah, it's good to get some good luck.
Well, an amazing win in race 1, and then race 2. We have to talk, right? Me and Alex, we were like that disgusting, absolutely disrespectful move, and we use that in the joking sense of the word, into the chicane, where you took 3 cars in one corner. How did you manage that?
I don't know, man. I just went for the cutback and I realised it was 3 cars, and I was like, oh Jesus, that's a few laps work done. But yeah, I never thought that. It's weird. Like, I just crack on. Like, I just don't even. Oh my god, I've just pulled 3 cars. I just like, who's next? And then hopefully I don't have to say that to what's going on at the front. But sometimes it doesn't work that way. I tried to play a bit of a strategic role tonight. Obviously, Dollington with this car, its slipstream so powerful, so I let Ryan pass intentionally, as everyone does, to try and catch up to the back of, I can't remember his name. That's really bad. And it just didn't pay off. I never realised. I looked at my F1 to see how long there was left. I thought it said 12 minutes. So I was like, right, Ryan's like a wee bit quicker than me at the moment. I'll let him pass and we can catch up and then have a fight at the end. Ryan did catch up, but it just didn't give him. We didn't give him a lot. What would I say? Didn't give him enough time for us to overtake him, or potentially overtake him, because catching and overtaking is 2 separate things. But really enjoyable evening again.
I was just waiting to say, just finally, you and Ryan seem to have a fantastic little scrap going on here, and you're gaining more valuable points for the championship. Is that a taste of things to come?
Yeah, me and Ryan actually get on really, really well. Even though we want to beat each other really bad, as you can probably tell in that last race, we still have that kind of respect for each other that we'll never just run each other off the road or leave each other out of room, which I might do with kind of other drivers. But yeah, he's a good lad.
Awesome stuff nonetheless, Stuart. Thank you so much for coming and having a chat with us tonight. And we
No
shall
problem,
see
anytime,
you next
anytime.
week, buddy.
See you next week, guys. Have fun.
So there we go, Stu McFadden. Let's bring in Ryan Martin then and see what he has to say about the rather interesting week. Ryan, slightly mixed bag, shall we say, this week. Talk us through that race one, because it was an epic battle all the way through, and then you were very cruelly denied at the end there.
Yeah, good evening, guys. Yeah, you could see what happened in race one. It was a great race. The three of us at the front, we were nose and tail, and then we were side by side, and then I knew that my tyres had went off. I could feel them. I was just holding on to the position. I was trying my very best to just try and get decent apexes and decent exits, but the other two guys are obviously very, very quick, and yeah, I was just trying my best to keep the position, and then it's just unfortunate that some inexperienced racers maybe don't check their relative. They maybe don't have a spotter, and yeah, they just pull back onto the track at the apex, right in front of the P1 to 3 battle on the last lap. So that's 2 weeks in a row that there's been chaos on the last lap for me. But at least it was a P4, I think, in the first race, and then obviously the second race went a little bit better.
And obviously, just finishing off on that first race, it could have ended a lot worse for yourself. And as you said, managing to claw that P4 back, it was a bit of a scramble towards the end there. Race 2, though, completely different affair there. Now, Stu said that there was a little bit of you two kind of fighting but working together as well. And is that something that's sort of vocalized between you two, or is that just a kind of unspoken thing where you'll fight for a little bit and then just work together?
I reckon it's just a bit of common sense, a bit of just racecraft, that if you know that you're in P2 and 3, and if you battle, P1's going to just clear off, you sort of think, right, well, we won't attack each other, we'll try and work together, because then if we catch P1, both of us then have the opportunity to get that better position. It's difficult because if one of you mess up one corner, you have to make the decision very quickly whether you're going to attack or you're going to continue behind the person and maybe bump draft them or whatever. But it's more corner by corner, straight by straight. You sort of make those decisions on the fly, and it worked to a certain degree. Obviously not as much for Stu as it did for me. I think he did say that he didn't realise how close it was to the end when he backed out before the chicane, because we're side by side. He then backed out a little bit because I had the race in line, so we could then get through quicker, but he didn't realise that there was only one lap left. Otherwise he wouldn't have then let me go in front. So it's just a little bit of racecraft and knowing the right times to attack and the right times to work together, and thankfully in race 2 it sort of worked for me, because we were able to get through the pack, and then it's just the three of us at the front. And the racing in race 2 was perfect. It was clean, it was respectful, nobody was doing anything silly, and yeah, the faster guys got to the front quite quickly, and the battle restarted like it did at the end of race 1.
And just finally on that note, you were talking about race 2 there, Ryan. How, as a racing driver and doing the sim racing, how much more enjoyable does that make it when it's just a proper dogfight, it's a proper scrap, and it's clean and it's respectful, but there's still 3-4 cars all involved in it?
Well, there's a lot of stress involved. When there's cars everywhere, you're having to be very careful, left, right, and front, behind, because if you make contact with a car in front of you, that's your fault, like end of. You don't want to brake too hard, because if somebody's right behind you, they might make contact with you, and you don't really want to change line. If we were going into the hairpin in race 2, I think we were 4 wide or 3 wide. I went through the middle, and I was just hoping that everybody had spotters, so that we could all get through the turn clear. But yeah, very, very stressful. That's sort of why I prefer doing endurance races, because it's a little bit less stressful, but obviously over a longer period of time. But yeah, I mean that I'm going to have to watch race 2 back, because some of the overtakes look pretty good. So hopefully it was entertaining on the stream, and hopefully you actually were able to see the overtakes. Hopefully it wasn't someone else.
We got a lot of the action. We were following pretty much all of it through the race, Ryan. But thank you as always for all of the action given to us tonight, and best luck. We'll see you next week.
Thank you very much. You will. I don't know what track it is next week, but I'm sure it'll be fun, and hopefully more racing like race 2 instead of race 1.
Snetterton 300 next week.
Snetterton. Yeah. Like I've done that, and we did that last year in the 992, I think. So I think it will be a bit more manageable in the GR86.
Famous last words, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, yeah.
Ryan Martin, thank you very much, buddy.
Totally. Right, have a good one. I'll speak to you next week, hopefully.
Thanks very much, Ryan. There we go then, Ryan Martin on recovery drive. And Alex, I mean, again, he didn't sound too upset, obviously a little bit frustrated, but still able to drag a decent recovery drive. And from my very basic mathematics, still on top of that championship.
I mean, the thing is, he had damage limitation. You know, he had a bit of a gap between himself and obviously with regards to what happened between him and McFadden and Folks in the opening race to still have fourth. And that's a good consistent haul of points. And that's probably why he's sounding a lot more happy than feeling despondent. Because, yeah, you can have a bad race. But if it's one bad race, but you have a really good season for the rest of it, it's a good one.
It certainly is. Well, that's all we've got time for tonight. A huge thank you to yourselves at home for watching us. A huge thank you to our broadcast producer, Mike Yao, behind the scenes, bringing us all the wonderful camera angles. A huge thank you to the team at RAFE Motorsports for helping us get this set up. And a huge thank you, as always, to the amazing super sub that is Mr. Alex Goldschmidt, jumping in for John Knighton tonight on commentary. A huge thank you to our commercial partners, British Forces Broadcasting Services, to Splunk, and to racecarradios.co.uk. And that is it for us tonight. We'll be back same time next week for more incredible action here from the BFBS AFVRC Season 3. Until then, take care and have a great week.